President Trump is offering to help Mexico wage war against the monsters that reportedly attacked and killed 9 American women and children near the border. This is the latest in a series of brutal attacks by drug cartels. It's fueling Trump's campaign calls for a crackdown on immigration and is going to have Trump reelected as president. That's all part and parcel of what's going on. I've got legal journalist Molly Barrows with me to talk about this a little bit more. First of all, this story, it's an awful story.
Horrific.
These are missionaries, basically.
A Mormon family.
Mormon family. They're in Mexico. Tell me what happens.
Dual citizenship. This is a family that's been in the area for a long time. Yeah. Several vehicles. They were going to a wedding in the Mexican country, just over the border. Basically, they were attacked by cartels. Vehicles were shot up. 2 of the vehicles haven't been found. They may still be looking for those at the moment, but one that was found had also been burned. And inside they have, so far there's been a total of 9 people that were killed, 4 adults, 2 children, I believe, 4 small children, and 2 infants, twin babies.
So here's what's happening politically. That's an awful story. You put that in the hands of a demagogue.
Right.
You put that in the hands of Donald Trump.
Right.
And all of a sudden you have this war that's taking place. It's an unofficial war.
Yes.
And what the progressives don't seem to understand, they can't get in their thick head, is this is where Trump wins. Because anytime you create that type of hysteria, the cartels coming across the border, it looks like a Mad Max movie. That's the imagery that's being propounded here. And it's not just, Trump's delivering the imagery, conservative media is picking up on it. You can't hardly go to a conservative site without seeing this story and a whole list of the brutal killings of police officers.
Beheadings, fires, entire cities basically tortured, and people fleeing for their lives. And in fact, you just had a cartel last month holding the entire Mexican government hostage because they had captured El Chapo's son. They were holding him, and they basically took several police officers and others hostage and said, we're going to kill him unless you let him go. Yeah, and they gave in.
Police officers were apologizing to El Chapo. Okay, now here's where the rubber meets the road. The Mexican, the folks in charge of this in Mexico are going to have the biggest impact on Trump being elected because this single issue, this fear issue, this hysteria issue, it's starting to look real. It's starting to look real to the American public. They're saying, look, you're just a matter of miles across the border. We now have cartels moving into the United States. You saw the meth lab that was broken up by the cartels. You're seeing every week there's a new story about cartels that have moved farther in the United States. Trump is taking that, and his machine is using it. I got a prediction.
You're right.
Trump will be will be reelected, and this issue will have him reelected because the progressives don't get it.
I know.
No matter how much it's in front of them. Now, there's another side to this.
Yes.
The other side is...
These immigration policies are actually making more business opportunities for the cartel.
Okay, explain
At the end
that.
of the day, they have their business model of taking advantage of weaknesses. You have families that are fleeing the violence that they create all the way from Central America all the way up to the Mexican border. Once they get here, some have to seek asylum, but now because of the Trump administration policy that they implemented in July that says you have to seek asylum from the first country you come into, you're not seeing the huge wave of Central American asylum seekers because they're having to stop in Mexico and other countries on their way up. But not to be outdone, the cartels are now recruiting Mexican migrants to do the same thing. So the Border Patrol is reporting an uptick in Mexican and border crossings as well as asylum seekers because all of them want to escape the violence and the lack of economic opportunity. They want to support their families. But basically, these cartels are charging and smugglers are charging $10,000 just to float families across the border. So it's creating more opportunity for them to make more money. And then they pay fees to the cartels for allowing them to do business.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen between now and the election. You're going to have a dozen movies like the Rambo movie that just came out, where it is war against the cartels. The and it's a reality. There is reality to what's happening here. But what the progressives are unable to do is to take that reality and take the sting away from...
Address the real issues and not make it a politicized issue and let this demagogue continue to make people drive fear-mongering and make them make bad political decisions.
Well, they're making bad political decisions.
They have no critical thinking skills, Pat.
Well, there is right now, when you have real facts,
Right.
We have real people being beheaded and their heads thrown across the border, where the mayor that speaks up against the cartel is murdered along with his family.
That happened several years ago as well.
Where you have journalists that were being gunned down in the street. The American public is saying, that ain't going to happen here. And Trump and it's not just Trump, it's the whole conservative infrastructure that's now taking that and they're making it work for him. And I got to say, I'll say it again. Trump's going to be reelected. He's not going to be impeached. He's going to be reelected. And if I drill down on the thing that has him reelected, it's this very thing. Right. Molly, thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Pat.
This is an important message for our nation's veterans. If you served our country in the military between 2003 and 2015 and you suffered significant hearing loss, you might be entitled to compensation, because the hearing protection you were issued may be at fault for the damage you suffered, but you need to act now. Your time to make a claim might be limited. Learn more at levinlaw.com/earplugs.